It might be insane to say this, but in melodies, notes don't matter. Shapes do. Because it is insane, the notes are very important. But strangely, this statement isn't totally wrong, because the shape of your melodies are also really important. And in some circumstances, the shape is actually more important than your specific note choice. And I'll prove this to you later. In this video, I'm going to show you the side of melodies that no one talks about, because these are the things that you feel rather than the things you notice. But trust me, you'll never look at melodies the same way again. So, you may be wondering what shapes I might be referring to. The simple answer is these 9 shapes here: static, ascending, descending, and the combination of those. These shapes underline all melodies you've ever heard. Some of them are easy to see, like this. It matches up to static pretty easily. But some of them are a little more difficult, like this. It's bouncing around between 2 notes. Is that static or ascending? In this case, it's static, because even though the second note ascends from the first, it doesn't stay in that higher place. We have equal weight given to both notes, so it's a static melody because it stays flat throughout the whole melody. Now what about something like this? It's not some complicated combination of up, down, flat, up faster, etc. We just draw a big line through the main arc of the melody, and we end up with an ascending and descending melody where we ignore these notes that are meandering around here and there. When we look at the shape of a melody, we just want a basic, broad view to give ourselves the general contour. And this stuff is great to keep in mind because even though it's a simplistic and basic way to view the melody, it allows you to focus on the bigger picture ideas. Kind of like taking a step back and looking at how the melody sits in context of the music. Now this is all great, but how do we actually use these ideas in a real world situation? Let's say you've got an ascending melody as your showpiece. It's the chorus or the main hook of the song. It's unwise to have every other melody in the song copy that pattern. Why? Because by the time we get to the big hook, the idea of an ascending melody is already familiar. We've just heard it a handful of times. We probably want something else. So unless our big important melody ascends in some spectacular or unique way, it's not going to feel that special or important. We need some contrast. We need some uniqueness to give it some personality or something. And on the note of contrast, changing the shape of a melody is one of the easiest ways to create contrast. Think about the ad-lib sections of a chorus or the verse variation that just hits different. It's usually just a change of shape. Plus, there's loads of pop and folk songs that the only difference between the verse and the chorus is the shape of the melody. So don't discount this stuff. But in saying all that, I hope that you can see that this stuff is pretty straightforward. And before we go any further, I want to leave no stone unturned. Let's take a quick look at the role that the notes play in melody. I said at the start that the notes are really important. Let me demonstrate. Let's take this really famous melody. Now I'm going to play it again for you, but with a simple change. See if you can notice the difference. Now obviously that was terrible, but I wanted to demonstrate that if I do a simple change, like displacing the notes by 1 semitone, then we can turn a massively famous melody into utter crap. So the notes are important. But that's an extreme example, so let's do something slightly less horrible. So with this one, I kept the general idea of the melody intact, but subdued the intervals. Instead of doing leaps, I did steps. Do you think that made the melody more or less impactful? Is it more or less memorable? The thing about these 2 examples is both approaches have made the melody worse. The first one, the melody was presented in the wrong context. And the second one, it was robbed of its personality. But this is where the shape of the melody becomes more important than the notes themselves. So if we leave the contour of the melody intact and find those essential notes, we can connect the dots however we want. In the case of Hall of the Mountain King, these notes, they feel like they're more important than the rest. So logically, if I just hit those notes, I should be able to play with everything else to create a new variation. Once again, I'm keeping the shape intact, but I'm just dressing this shape how I want. I'm not changing the largest and most important points of the melody, I'm just connecting the dots in a new way. But what if I wanted to change the shape as well? So keep somewhat connected to the idea, but push further away from the original. The best way to do this is to maintain the rhythm and explore from there. But if you're going to change too much about a melody like I just have, it's best to play it so people know what you're referencing, make a small variation like my first example, then go exploring like my second example, and then finally come back to sanity, like this. People will love this because if you follow this pattern, they will be able to follow whatever craziness you want to explore. Now, for those of you who want to practice what we've discussed in this video, start by simply noticing the shape of a melody when you're listening to your favorite songs. Notice if the shape changes from verse to the pre-chorus or chorus or bridge. Then apply what you hear to your own music. It's that simple. If you like this video, there's a good chance you'll like this one as well, or you can trust YouTube's suggestion here.